breaking news, according to John Heyman of the New York Post, Alex Bregman has signed with the Chicago Cubs. ESPN's Jeff Passan later confirms this, while also saying that the deal is a 5-year, $175 million contract. This is the third largest contract in the Cubs' franchise history. Bob Nightingale of USA Today reports that Bregman has a no-trade clause, but he has 0 opt-outs. Now, Ken Rosenthal of The Athletic reports that 70 of the $175 million is deferred. Okay, now for my thoughts. First, let me read you some 2025 stats on Alex Bregman. So in 2025, he did have an injury, which kind of held him back a little bit, but he still had a good stat line. So in 2025, he had a 3.5 WAR. He had 433 at-bats. He had 118 hits, 18 home runs, 273 batting average, 64 runs, 62 runs batted in, and 1 stolen base. Well, I think that I love this signing for the Cubs. I heard people saying, oh, it's an overpay. The Red Sox bid 5 years for $160, so we kind of had to outbid them with $175. And I also saw a report that is an interesting. Basically, Boris's camp, Scott Boras, who represents Alex Bregman, was like, "Hey, we have another team that has a higher offer," and the Red Sox didn't believe them. But he ended up going to the Cubs, who actually did put out a higher offer. And so, basically, I don't care if it's an overpay. We kind of had to overpay a little bit to get the big bat that we needed in the middle of our order to replace Kyle Tucker. Now, this signing alone, Alex Bregman signing with the Chicago Cubs, makes the Cubs contenders for a first-round bye. It makes them contenders to be a top 2 team in the National League. And I know that might sound crazy because you have the Phillies and you have the Dodgers, but I think that Alex Bregman paired with Edward Cabrera make the Cubs legitimate contenders for not just to win the NL Central, but to get a bye in the playoffs. I love this signing. I cannot stress how much I love this signing for the Chicago Cubs. Now, let me touch on Shaw and Nico, what's going to happen there. I mean, the Cubs don't have to move Shaw or Nico. Now, people are saying, but they want to stay under the tax. Do they? I'm not sure that they do. I think that they might be comfortable going over the tax, as I will address in a little bit. But you don't have to trade Shaw or Nico, and I think trading Nico would significantly lower your playoff chances, as he is probably one of your top contact hitters, and he's a great hitter to have at top of the order if he's going to lead off, or the bottom just to start things at the bottom. And for Shaw, I think it's always good to you always need depth, and someone's always going to get injured. And I think that there's a world where they keep both. I'd rather trade Shaw over Nico, but I think that there's also a world where they keep both. Now let's dive into the MLB tax, or the MLB CBT threshold. So first, before I start talking about the MLB tax, let me just explain it. So basically, every year MLB sets a tax, which is basically if you go over that tax, you get penalized, such as if you sign a free agent, you have to pay more money than you actually signed him, so you have to pay to MLB. And also, you lose your draft picks if you go over a certain number. So with that information, let me dive into why I think that they are comfortable going over the tax. So the fact that they are towing up to the line in the tax means that they are comfortable going over, because if they are contending at the deadline, they will trade for another player, and that will likely push them over. They could also sign another free agent, such as a bench bat, or another relief pitcher, or starting pitcher, which is less likely, which would also push them over the tax. And in my opinion, I think that Tom Ricketts gave Jed the green light and was like, hey, we're trying to win in 2026. It's fine if we go over the tax, and it's fine if you sign a free agent and it pushes us over, because they are trying to win in 2026, and we can see this by the move of Edward Cabrera and the signing of Alex Bregman. And just, in my opinion, they are right up against the line, and I think that they will do maybe a few more moves after this. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go over, maybe by $10 million, which would be a first in a long time. Kudos to Tom Ricketts and Jed Hoyer. Tom Ricketts allowing Jed Hoyer to spend, and Jed Hoyer for going out and getting this deal done with Bregman. I cannot stress how big this is for their playoff chances and how big this is just for their team as a whole. And Bregman's a great clubhouse guy and all that. But kudos to Jed Hoyer. I don't care. A bunch of people, including myself, were like, hey, the Cubs are kind of having a quiet offseason. But in the past week, trading for Edward Cabrera and signing Alex Bregman has totally changed the narrative. I do want to touch on just a little bit, on him cheating. Look, I don't want to spend too much time on this. I'm just going to spend a few minutes. Look, he admitted it. He admitted he was a cheater. He said sorry. I think people can move past that. I feel like people need to move past that. And look, I get it. I agree that there should have been a worse punishment. I do. I think those players should have been suspended for a season, 2 seasons, whatever, had their pay docked or whatever they want to do. Or have all the team just suspended for an entire year or whatever. I'm not trying to make up punishments here. I'm just saying that it's happened. We get it. Bregman is a good player. Besides the cheating, he is a good player. He's proved that in the past 5 seasons that he hasn't cheated. He's proved that he can hit at the major league level, that he doesn't need cheating to be a very highly respected free agent, and now highly respected third baseman with the Cubs. So that's all I have to say on that. I don't want to dwell on that too much, but just move on from all the cheating allegations, please. He's a great player. He made one bad decision. Don't really tear him apart for that. Now, what could the lineup look like now that the Cubs have signed Alex Bregman? Well, I think it could look something like this. So I'll just go position by position. So for catcher, you have Miguel Amaya or Carson Kelly, one of the two. For first base, you have Michael Busch. Second base is Nico Horner. Third base is Alex Bregman. Shortstop is Dansby Swanson. Left field is Ian Happ. Center field is Pete Crow Armstrong. Right field is Seiya Suzuki. And DH is one of the following: Moises Ballesteros, Tyler Austin, Matt Shaw, Kevin Alcantara, or whoever is not catching, so Amaya or Kelly. Let me just finish up with some quick thoughts on the signing. At the end of the day, the Cubs signing Alex Bregman is a clear signal that they care and that they want to win in 2026 and beyond. No, this is not a perfect risk-free move, but it is a very serious one. If Bregman is even close to the player that he's been for most of his career, the Cubs lineup just got a lot more dangerous. And the Cubs just told the entire league that they're going for it in 2026. I'm Joshua Crum, that's your breakdown, and thanks for watching.